Welcome back. Today we're going to do exercise 8 in loops in C++. So today we're going to write a program that uses while loops to perform the following steps. In step A, it prompts the user to input two integers. We're going to have first num and second num. And first num must be less than second num. In step B, here's part B. We're going to output all odd numbers between first num and second num. Step C is to output the sum of all even numbers between first num and second num. Step D is to output the numbers and their squares between 1 and 10. And step E is to output the sum of the squares of the odd numbers between first num and second num. And step F is to output all uppercase letters. So let's begin. So first let's declare our variables here. Line 8 tells us variable declarations. So of course we're going to have two integers. We're calling the first one first num and the second one second num. We can declare them both in the same line. Now of course if we're going to produce the sum of even numbers, we'll just call one int sum even. And if we're going to do the sum of odd squares, we'll have a variable called int sum square odd, and we'll set it to 0. Alright, so we're going to set a char counter. And next we'll do an int counter. That should be it for variables. Okay, let's go into part A. We're going to prompt the user to input two integers, first num and second num, and first num must be less than second num. So I'm going to tell the user to enter two numbers, and I'm going to tell the user that the first number must be less than the second number. And now I'm going to ask the user to enter the numbers. Okay, so whatever they give me the first, I'm going to enter into first number. And whatever they give me the second, I'm going to enter into the second number. Now I'm just going to enter a blank line. So what am I doing in part B? Output all odd numbers between first num and second num. Okay, so in order to get the odd numbers, I'm going to use a modulo division. And it's either going to give me, if I'm going to divide by 2, it's either going to give me a remainder of 0, or it's going to give me a remainder of 1. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take the first number, divide them by 2, and if it divides evenly, I'm going to add 1 to that first number. Otherwise, I'm going to have that counter start at the first number. So in this even number situation, we're going to add 1 to the first number. Otherwise, we'll start with the first number. So now I'm going to print out the odd integers. I'm going to add a while loop to this. So in my while loop, as long as the counter is less than or equal to the second number, I'm going to have it continually generating the numbers until the equation no longer becomes true. So while the counter is less than or equal to the second number, what are we going to do? We're going to add the counter, and then we're going to add 2 to it. Okay, so that's that, but I still want to put in a blank space in here, so let me put code to give me a blank space. So what are we doing in part C? Output the sum of all even numbers between first number and second number. So it's going to begin the same way as the other one did. Just like we did in part B, we're going to do that modulo division. But this time, we're going to look for a number being even. Otherwise, we're going to add 1 to the first count. Instead of the other way around, we're going to add 1 to the counter if the first number is odd. So here's the first situation, the ifs variable. And here's the second situation. If the number turns out to be odd, we just add 1 to it. That's the else statement. So now we take the while loop here, and as long as the counter is less than or equal to the second number, we'll just add the sum of the even numbers together. So all right, as long as the counter is less than or equal to the second number, we'll add this number to the counter. Then we'll add 2 to the counter. So now we'll just tell them the sum of all integers between the first number and the second number are, and we'll give the answer. Let's go on to part D. In part D, we're outputting the numbers and their squares between 1 and 10. So I'm going to tell them what I'm doing. I'll start my counter at 1. So now, while my counter is less than or equal to 10, so I'm going through the variables. And of course, to get a square, you just multiply the counter times the counter. Then you increment the counter. And of course, this will continue on until it's false. So let's put a empty line underneath that. So what's part E? Output the sum of the square of the odd numbers between first number and second number. Okay. So once again, this begins just like part B does. So if we divide the first number by 2 and we get an even result, or 0, we add 1 to the counter. Otherwise, we keep the counter. The counter would be the first number. Otherwise, if it's an odd number, the counter is going to be the first number. So now we make our while loop. So while our counter is less than or equal to the second number, we add up the squares of the odd numbers. So we just add 2 to this counter. And this will repeat until the while loop becomes false. So once this is complete, we're just going to give the user the answer. Okay, part F. Output all uppercase letters. So we'll just go from A to Z. So I'll just write a cout statement. The uppercase letters are. I'll start my character counter at A. Now just put me a while loop. As long as the character counter is less than or equal to capital Z, I'm going to write the counter. Then I'm going to add 1 to it, because remember we were using ASCII code. There we go. Now I'm going to add 1 to the counter. Okay, I'm going to close it out. Add a line. Now I can put in that return 0 statement. That should do it. Let's give it a run, see how it works. Enter two numbers. The first number must be less than the second number you enter. So I'll put in a couple numbers here. How about 40 and 62? There you go. Odd numbers between 40 and 62 are, there you go. Sum of all the even integers between 40 and 62 are 612. So here's the square of the numbers between 1 to 10. The sum of the squares of the odd integers between 40 and 62 are 290, 51. There's your uppercase letters. There you go. It's all done.